But
Okay.
hello, Frank.
Hello, hello. We're
Hello.
switching. We were just talking in Spanish. Now we're in English.
Well, so everybody, we're doing this. We're going to do a workshop in 29 Palms in the desert in California. So we want everybody speaks English there. But in the
Yeah.
future, we can do a few ones. I'm about to, I'm finishing my book in English, and because I'm in the US, but I'm going to translate, as soon as I finish that, I'm going to translate it in Spanish. Del embarazo a la
Yeah.
éxtasis. So yeah, it's so good to have you involved in this story. It's good and it's important. It's important. So tell me a little bit why, how did you get involved in wanting to help others when it comes to becoming a parent or being pregnant?
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the mother of my child, one morning, at the time I was living in Venice Beach and I was packing my car to go surfing up in Malibu, and she said, I hope you have a great morning of surfing. By the way, I'm pregnant. And like literally it was just like this like wave of like I'm sorry, but it's like I was like, what the fuck? Like what? Like you're like I'm gonna be a parent? It was this most radical like concept that like I was gonna be a parent. And here's kind of what started evolving for me. So as time went on a little bit, I became so anxious. I became like my fear, my doubt, like everything was heightened. Like I've never been so panicked. Meanwhile, I've surfed some big waves, I've climbed some big mountains, I've like traveled the world, I've done like all this big stuff, like met very important people, but here I was so scared to have a baby. And I didn't grow up with a father. I never knew my dad. And so what ended up happening is I believe after so much reflection, I believe that a lot of this anxiety and fear that was like bubbling up was like my soul saying, hello, it's time to start looking at things that you've never looked at in your subconscious. You've shoved it down, like maybe you haven't felt it, because what was there was a lot of pain. There was a lot of pain around abandonment from my father. There was a lot of like unworthiness. There was a lot of like me in the world looking for love in so many different ways. I was so busy. I was probably, I was probably womanizing a little more than I should have because I was just like, I just starved. I like wanted love. I always had to be like the cool kid, very extroverted, and it was all like out, out, out. And then now that like literally time just slowed into this like cocoon, it was like, oh, you really now need to figure out how to feel or look at the things that are coming up. So nobody taught me how to do this. These are all things that in the school they don't say, "Oh, let's do deep inner work. Let's do shadow work. Let's look at multi-generational wounding, intergenerational trauma, like all these big words in the quote unquote wellness, healing, spiritual communities." I was like, "What?" So here's where the journey began.
Mm.
I started attending men's retreats. I started doing men's circles. I started getting on Zoom calls around men's work. And the reason that I gravitated towards men, particularly, was because nobody taught me how to be a conscious, evolved, heart centered man. I had to figure it out. So as a man, let me say, as a hetero, like in my experience, as a heterosexual man with a female partner, I
Yes.
mean, do I ask my wife, "Hey, excuse me, wife, can you tell me how to be a man?" You just can't. You can't say that because she's in her experience. She's trying to now she's like, "Oh, I'm a mother to be." She's going through all her stuff. She's talking to her women. She's in the village. She's gathering like the power of the feminine and the women is a whole beautiful complex world. So here we are over here. The men, normally, the men used to sit around the fire. I'm learning from my uncle, my father, my brothers. I'm learning from the kids. We're hunting, we're talking, we're becoming warriors. We're doing all of these rites of passage. Now,
Yeah.
today, what do you have? Instagram.
Mm.
It's like this whole world of initiation of how to be a conscious man in community, a loving husband, brother, son, all of this, it's just
Mm.
gone. It's not there. Indigenous
Mm.
cultures, it's there. There's all these different types of cultures where they kind of still remain to this. But
Mm.
in particular, in the United States, really what happens here is, oh, you're old enough. Go into the world on your own. Go work, go to college, make money, do your thing. We're kind of caught in this world of like, check the boxes, like get married, have a kid, buy a house, have a car, the school, da da da. It's like, but then
Mm.
what? Like, no one says,
Mm.
how are you feeling right now? How do you
Mm.
feel? So why are people doing drugs? Why do we have alcoholics? Why do we have people who are getting prostitutes? Why are people are like the dopamine hit? People are so addicted to feeling good because
Yeah.
because we're not taught that if I'm unhappy or I'm feeling fear or I'm anxious or I'm angry, no one says that's okay. Let's
Mhm.
be in the feeling. Let's
Mhm.
work with that. And let's try to find you to that neutral place of love. I could
Mhm.
speak this now very clearly, but it took me
Mhm.
10 years of deep excavation to finally get to a point where I'm okay with my feelings. I'm
Mhm.
okay to share vulnerably and authentically, but
Mhm.
before, no way. I was
Mhm.
hiding. I was like behind a mask. How are you? Oh, everything is great. I'm so excited to be a parent and work is fine. And it's like this facade that we're all
Mhm.
pretending that everything is okay.
Mhm.
Now, if I'm not doing okay, I just say it. I say, you know what? I'm having a hard day today. That's
Mhm.
okay. I'm not a
Mhm.
bad person. Nobody's a bad person. It's just how they're feeling right now. So
Mhm.
in my experience, went in such a deep cave of working through all of this in terms of how I'm feeling and what was happening. And I just realized, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
No, no, just sorry to interrupt, but
yeah, yeah.
can say a little bit how? How did you work? Because that's what, when I'm listening to you, I hear all the guys saying, "What did you do? How did you do it?"
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so this is the sort of this is the hard part because it's almost like what it took me
Mm.
might not take everybody else in terms of what they've had to do on their journey.
Mm.
So I'll go a little bit into like this kind of discovery world and what I believe now people can actually do that's like a little bit more practical and attainable. So personally, I went undergoing like some like training of like Kundalini yoga. I went deep into some like medicine work. I did some relationship courses. I did like a lot of stuff. I was reading books from like, how to be a man, like all sorts. I was just kind of wanting all of this like information. But what it
Mm.
came down to in a
Mm.
real life
Mm.
practical sense is where I found like the juiciest, most transformative healing situation, it actually is very simple. What it
Mm,
is we need to create safe containers for men to be together for an afternoon, a day, 2 days, a weekend, a week, whatever this is. This safe container for men to really support each other in radical, vulnerable sharing. That is the key because a lot of men, they don't feel safe enough with their partner or their parents or their business partners or people to share this stuff because it's scary. It's scary to admit that you're not perfect. It's
mm,
scary to admit that you're really confronting yourself with some of the stuff that has made you behave in not the best way. And here's the thing, everybody, you're a mirror. Every man in these rooms is a mirror. Oftentimes, a man will share and you say, I am you.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
everything you just shared, I am you. And the relief that happens in your body, in the
mm,
energetics, you
mm,
can actually just take a deep breath. It's like this weight of things.
mm,
So that's really one of the steps that people are able to really do healing is to really be together, be together. You can be alone, but together that's the power. The power is being together.
mm,
So what I think is, yes, that radical sharing vulnerability, and then there's different practices, right? You have like breath work, you have yoga, you have meditation, the ice bath, the saunas, all the things. But really
mm,
what all this is doing is it's softening you to the
yeah,
point where you get out of your mind and overthinking everything in life.
yeah,
Future thought, I'm so stressed out. Oh my
mm,
God, I don't have enough money for my bills. Like it's like, man, and just like bringing it down
mhm,
into your heart, into your essence, to really be in your power.
mm,
These are all like very cliche, big terms, but it's work. It's really work to start to like embody this heart-centered living and being and sharing and being of service, all of these things. So I really think that men just need to like really commit to being in their practice, to being in this training of like really optimizing themselves to live these lives where they're not scared to share, they're taking these deep breaths, and they're really kind of building this capacity to weather the storm. Because just because you go to the fancy retreat in Costa Rica or you go to the fancy retreat in Nepal, it doesn't mean that your life is going to be perfect. You're still going to actually be in life, but you can take these tools, these
mm,
experiences, and you can really build the capacity to just be more neutral, more in your loving, really in that trust for life rather than like, oh, this happened now, this is what I need. It's like so reactive. And in today's world with technology and all the things, we're working really fast, and it's almost like
mm,
slow
yeah,
it down, so
yeah,
the weekend that we're talking about, it's a really nice time to gather and be in these practices, in the sharing, in the community space of taking that time to really clear yourself of a lot of this belief systems, a lot of these
mm,
traumas
mhm,
for the sake of your child.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt,
no,
but
it's
it's
okay.
I I I mean one thing that I was writing about yesterday is vulnerability.
Mm,
And, in nature, the role of the man is to be the protector. It's like the banks of the river, and the woman is the river. So you are the protector. The thing is that in nature, you have father, mother, grandfather, like you said, brothers, you have all of that. And I mean, And like you said, in the US, since I've been here, it's like I see so many people that your generation or my kids' generation that don't have parents. And if they have parents, there's no connection. So
Mm.
don't have that heritage. So you're on your own, and that's scary. And you have to play this role. So that's why you put the facade, because you have to be this and you have to be the guy, and you're not supposed to be vulnerable because you're the guy. So I wanted to mention that because this is not something that you're going to share with your wife.
Right. Yeah.
She doesn't need that from you.
Right. That's the thing is that really what your wife is looking for is this like solid foundation of this like masculine to like hold that because the woman is like I mean it's like this like storm, you know? I mean I say storm but more like water and it's like this and the man is like I'm here. I'm this tree. I'm this rock. I'm right here. Of course, I have feelings and all the things and whatever, but really that's kind of the thing. So if you're showing up in this like storm and she's a storm, it's kind of like, like what are we doing? You know, it's hard on your nervous system. It's really hard on your nervous system and the relationship really suffers if that's
Mm,
kind of the dynamic. And you'll see it with
yeah.
couples sometimes. You're like, wow, you guys are like fiery. There's like arguing. And so at some point, it's kind of the dance, the yin yang, it's the yoga, the intimacy of life. There are moments where someone needs to know or read the room of like, hey, right now, I will be the one that's resourced and calm, and I'll let you be in the storm, and we'll hold this. And maybe sometimes I'm in the storm and you're going to need to hold it, you know? It's like a dance. But these are all
And
things
that's
that
what,
people, yeah, we don't get taught that. Nobody teaches you that. It's like you like
why.
learn
That's
it.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. And so, yeah, so, but that's the reason why, like, women gather together, women, they go
Yeah.
to their meetings and they have the talking stick and they share their stuff. And that's why, the same way, men need to have that, because
Yeah.
that's the place where they have the container where, because if being vulnerable, choosing to be vulnerable, it's a very courageous choice. It's very
Mm,
courageous. I want to say that. I wrote about it yesterday a lot, and I want to
mm,
say that. It's very courageous to allow yourself to be vulnerable for many
mm.
reasons. And I'm not going to expound on all that right now. But so, and if it's very courageous in general, it's even more courageous for a man, because you're not supposed, because vulnerability is being weak, it's being fragile, it's not being a man. And
Mm.
it's not that. It's the
You have, yeah,
choice.
yeah,
It's a
you've got,
choice of opening the door. Like, you open the door to your heart. That's the real
oh,
warrior. That's the real warrior. You opening the door and you showing your authenticity,
yeah.
and you, yeah,
I,
and your
I
power.
agree with that. I feel like there's this lineage of really, really hard men who honestly have had it really hard. I mean, you have like depression, World War, you have like third world countries of people who are in survival mode. You have a very hardened man. And so, yeah, you talk about people who are concerned about where they're going to find their next meal, and you say, hey, I want your vulnerability. They're like, I don't have time for this. But now in the modern day, we don't have to deal with like war at our doorstep. And I'm going to say that like, in most places, of course, there's still war, but now it's like we're having to like reprogram ourselves to as men, like vulnerability is okay. But unless you're in a room, unless you've been taught that, most men are kind of like alone with themselves and they don't really, and actually, here's what got me really involved with the men's work.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I have had several men in my space, or even dear friends of mine, who have committed suicide. I mean, the darkness is so bad that men just say, "I just want to kill myself," or "I want to do drugs and I overdose." And this is so sad because most of these men have partners or ex-partners, they have kids, and so it just psychologically, you're so pressed, you feel like there's no way out. I've been there. I've been in very dark places myself. Listen, for the sake of vulnerability, and showing up in that way, I've had very, very dark thoughts myself because I was so depressed. I was so at my rock bottom. So for me, I just said to myself, if I can actually just support one man, two men, a couple men, more than that, I don't know, to just say, hey, I'm here for you. Like, I will listen to you. I see you. I will share with you. I will be in community and I will heal with you, because that right there, I think, is sort of the missing piece, is like the community, or just knowing how, or knowing that it's going to be okay, help people move through some of this stuff to say, hey, right now, here's how you feel. But guess what? You might not feel like this a little later, or in like a week, or in a little bit. This is a big feeling. Let's work with this so that we can get you back to at least like some calm in your life. So that's how I got so passionate and interested in this, is I just really, I'm in full support, kind of like a doula, of helping men particularly heal. And I have a very sweet spot for men who are about to be fathers, because
Yeah.
that's a very powerful, powerful time for men to really elevate their consciousness, elevate themselves to be a father or in a partner, and in this new phase of life. It's almost like a forced pattern interrupt. It's like, yeah, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and well, sometimes it's very like planned and everything, but yes, it's a big change anyways. And there is another aspect also that maybe we can talk about another time, but I wanted to point out, is that men are born from a woman,
Mm,
and men, I mean, in utero, before, sex definition, everybody is a woman. And that's why you still have your breasts
mm,
and you have your organs, your ovaries, and all that stuff came down and out. But there's a woman there. And in my experience with couples, working with couples in preparation to birth, I had a lot of men saying, I'm jealous. I want to be the one with the belly, you know?
ah,
I want to be the
mm,
one who's pregnant. I want to feel, I want to be in that belly. I want to feel that thing. I don't have that in my life. I won't have that in my life. I'm just a witness. So I wanted to, talk about that at some point, but
yeah. Well, I can comment a little bit on that. I think that, see, what ends up happening is, so if we want to talk about like that jealousy or needing attention, for a man, I mean, this also happens when the baby is born, right? Because you're in relationship, all the attention is there. Now there's a baby. Now you're like, now what? Let's be real. A lot of couples aren't having like sex out of the gate. Like it's so new. So
yeah,
if you are coming from the child wounding of
yeah,
I need attention, I am jealous, that's how it comes out. So for me, I think the deeper work for a man is saying, hold on, can I come to a space where I honor the woman in her creation of this child? It's a miracle. It is a blessing that she's creating your child in her belly. Honor that. How can you be there in full support team of that process and into the birth of the baby and say, you know what? That's not where I am in the creation space, but I'm here as full support team. And that also, there's a lot to go there too, right? There's a lot of practical ways of being on support team, but just the energetics of that. Because you being jealous or I wish I had that, that's like it's like a comparison thing. It's kind of like when you're in the world and you get jealous that someone started a company and they're rich and making money. It should be like, no, good on you. You're doing amazing work. It's like feeling that joy for the prosperity and the abundance that's there, but really it's that wounding around why are you jealous? Like what is this attention that you need, you know?
Yeah, because you're kind of lost. It's like, what is my role now? I used to have a role as the partner, I was in a relation, and suddenly I can feel like I'm out of the thing, and it's not true. You
Yeah.
have a role, a big role, an amazingly beautiful role, and you have the support. You can have the support to feel that strength and feel that self-confidence that you have it in you, find that in you so you can enjoy it to the fullest. Because
Yeah.
what happened is that the man suddenly is like, where am I? Whoa, whoa, what, dislocated, you know?
Well,
So that's
this is
when you
where,
come,
y-
yeah,
yeah, this is, and I think that, I mean, to be honest with you, of course, we're having this like little conversation, but there's there's so much because, even when I'm hearing you speak about this man and they don't know what to do, what I think it comes back to that we don't get taught is about intimacy.
yes,
Intimacy is not just sex.
no,
Intimacy is what are you doing to foster closeness? What are
yes,
you doing to connect with this baby in the belly? What are you
yes,
doing to connect with yourself so that you can show up into this really beautiful space? And there's so many layers here, but
yes,
really, I don't know. My mother didn't sit down with me as a little boy and said, okay, son, I'm going to teach you about intimacy with a woman, especially when your wife is pregnant.
yeah,
We don't know. We don't know about this until you start to kind of hear about it, or maybe someone writes something or shares and talks about their experience. And so that's where I find that there's like there's a complete gap. It's like
yes,
you're a man, partner's pregnant, now what? And so that for me was really inspiring in terms of being like, oh, that now what? Maybe we start sharing about this. We start talking about this. Maybe we start writing some examples of how this could play out and things like that. So, yeah, because it's important to stay in the connection. And admittedly, I'm gonna say it's not that I did it perfect during my experience. I had the experience, and then I had all these awarenesses and information that I was like, oh, I wish I knew this, you know?
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Me too. I mean, yeah, and that's why I'm writing the book From Pregnancy to
right.
Ecstasy. Because I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I wish I had had that book when I was
I,
pregnant the first.
trust me, this is the book From Dude to Dad coming soon, So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yes, and oh, I lost the thread, but this is basically what we're gonna do with this workshop is open a door, and hopefully it's gonna
Yeah,
a door opening to create a space where we can, women can work their side of the story, men can work their side of the story, and also we can work the relations. Oh, what I wanted to say is that intimacy comes from vulnerability. because in order to go
Mm,
into
right.
intimacy, you have to open that door. And
I
that's what
know.
happens to a lot of couples. It's like, I'm not going to open that door because then I'm going to lose it. And not going to be that strong person anymore in control. And then there's no
Yeah.
intimacy. There's like sex. There's, oh, let's go out, let's show up, And we both like to go surfing, so we go surfing, or we both go dancing or whatever. But what about that real connection from your real self, your real authentic self, feeling safe to say, hey, look at me, this is me.
Yeah, I love that. And I didn't learn this until later, and I know now that as men, we are programmed to think if I have like all the money and I can provide, then like I will be in this space with this woman and like that's enough and like I'll be sexy and all the things. What I've learned is a woman is like, I just want you. I want all of you. I want your vulnerability. I want your heart. I want your passion. I even want your anger. I just want you. Show me you. And there's so many men who are just like, nope, I'll give you $1 million and I'll give you a home, but you can have like a little bit of me. You know, it's like because everybody is sitting in in like deep shame or they're scared. And so, that's another thing is like that is how you create the intimacy is just being in the vulnerable spaces of just being you. And it took me a very long time to realize that. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I come from Venezuela where, the man is just like you said, the guy who's in power, and women are really strong too. So guys have the pressure, even
mm,
more pressure to be these guys, make money and I'm da, 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 and I the best car and the best this and the best that. And you know what happens in the couple? The guy has lovers.
mm.
There's not a real connection. They have a connection officially to go to the dinner and to go to the gallery and to go to the party and to go this and that. But in real life, he has a lover. And sometimes there's more than a lover, and there's an official lover, and there's a whole thing going on. That on one
Mm.
hand. And the other thing that happens also is that they go to Miami to be gay.
Oh, like the hidden life.
Yes,
Mm,
because the pressure of being a male is so strong that there's no room, like, vulnerability, going to be yourself. So they go to the other extreme. They go to Miami, they become gay, and they become like, oh, super sensitive, and all that stuff that is accumulated inside goes out.
mm.
But it's from one extreme to the other one. Where is the real you in the middle?
Yeah, and this brings us again, I know there's so many topics, but this comes back when I hear you talk about something that we're also not taught to do, which is like integration.
Oh,
Integrating all of the aspects of ourself into this thing. I lived a life where I thought, hey, I'm like adventure guy. This is what I do. I'm business guy. There's yogi me. There's me that believes in aliens. There's this side of me over here. I'm like this with different friends or whatever. But it's about like, no, all of this is you, so how can you integrate all of this into like the full expression of yourself and just know you meet people where you're at. These guys probably don't want to talk about aliens. That's okay, but these guys do. Great, but you still don't say, "Oh, I have to hide myself over here." It's just, "Hey, this is me fully and this is where we're at." And so and being comfortable that some people might not receive that well and they might go off and say, "Hey, you know what? I really can't handle that." You know what happens is you show up vulnerable and you're a mirror And so people go, "Oh, I can't hang out with you because every time we talk, it's too sensitive or it's too vulnerable or whatever." And it's like, okay, you might not be ready for that. But
Yeah.
for the folks who are, they're grateful. They're like, "Wow, so nice to have a real conversation or hang out with people that are real." That's what you want, you know? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
ideally, yeah.
And it's not only for men. I mean, the day I decided to open that door and be 110% vulnerable, I lost some friends.
Yeah.
Couldn't handle.
Mm,
They ran away. They literally run away. So yeah, that's why I'm saying it's courageous.
mm,
And it's better to do it in a container, in a safe place, in a gathering, women together, men together, so we can talk about our stuff, you know. And we can also, being in that space, we are really embodying ourselves, really present to what we feel. That's why I work with the five senses,
mm,
because what happens when you have a trauma, shock, things like that, you block, you don't want to
mm,
feel, you don't want to sense, so you close all those doors to not be fragile, to not be vulnerable. So when you go back to feeling, oh, what do you feel, what do you smell, what do you hear, you become more and more subtle. So the level of perceptions, the channels of perception open again. And when you open those doors of perception, for women, one thing that happens, because it's touch, the five senses, is the earth, is the water, is the all of that. The instinct wakes up again and takes over, which for a woman, for a mother, is number one. But
yeah.
also you start being more subtle and you start reconnecting with the intuition, you know, and all those things that. So the wonderful thing basically is now we are living in a world, in a time in the world where we are transitioning from this old square thing where you have to be this and you have to be that, and don't, it's all in the mind and it's all organized. We are shifting into the creation of a new world, literally. So the best way to create this new world is to be real, is to be in your body, in you, in connection. And the more we do these works of groups, gathering and opening the doors and putting things out on the table and sharing and all of that, cleansing, and we are cleansing the Akashic records, our lineage, the stories of our lineage. And once we cleanse on one side, whatever comes down, the children of the children of the children, it's going to be a whole different story. So for me, this is my way to create the new world.
Mm. I like this concept that you're talking about around the cleansing because I say it a little different than the cleansing, although I the cleansing is really the vibrant correct term. I say declutter. I say like we wake up in the morning and we declutter. It's almost like you know how dogs and people shake. It's like, okay, let me declutter all of these emotions, what people maybe told me, what I watched on the news. Let me declutter. Let me like cleanse. Let me just get more neutral so that you said something very important so that we can get back into trusting our own intuition so that we can connect to this higher source, power, universe, God, whatever this is, and feel very connected with ourselves and that so that we can be good parents, so that we could really, say, hey, how do I want to do this? I raised my daughter so different than how my mother raised me. I mean, there's so many things that were so different, but I had to really trust my intuition. I had to really trust this process that I felt was the way that I wanted to parent. Because typically what happens is we have grandparents and our parents who want to control. no, that's not how you do it. You do it like this, and you go, no, that's how you did it. This is how I'm choosing to do it. But it's also very courageous to step into that power of saying, no, this is how I'm going to do things. And so that's the process is really decluttering and cleansing so that you can keep tapping into the intuition. It's very, very important. And when you're parents at these early stages, that's the time that this is going to be right up against you. Like, okay, because you're making these decisions for another little being, So
And before that, even like for birth, it's important what you said,
Mm, right.
because at birth, I had that a lot. Like you have the father and the mother are there. They want to be part, the sister, the whatever, all kinds of family are around. They want to be in the room for the birth. They want to be part of the thing. They want to decide with you how you're going to birth, you know.
Yeah.
And part of the preparation to birth is, for me, is to be sure that they empower themselves. Both of them have this intimacy together. They are empowered. They make their decisions. And if the parents are, conflicting with the vibe or whatever, you stay outside. When I'm ready, I will come out with my baby and show you my baby.
Mm,
This is mine. This is our space, and it's sacred, and period. So
yeah.
yeah, this is a big part, because
Mm,
we have, the parents have a big role and a big influence and a big power over sometimes. So it's part of it. But I feel like we've been going around, and of course, this is going to be a weekend workshop. So we have certain amount of time. I mean, mostly a Saturday where we're going to work both sides. You're going to be with the guys, Supinda and me. We're going to be with the woman, and we're going to share things also. But I see this as a door opening.
yeah,
It's,
I like that. I like the door opening. We keep opening doors, right? It's like,
yes, it's all
yeah.
about opening all those doors that for centuries, some of them were closed. It's
Mm,
time to reopen all of that, reopen all the channels, let the energy flow, and be okay with it.
yeah. Well, I think this is kind of like organically, step by step, how we start to really support people in having more awareness and conscious births and conscious, just keep elevating themselves so that we can really have, more and more children and parents who are just, kind of just raising this like massive vibration on the planet. I know that sounds very cliche, but I think that's what we want, like a better world, right? I mean, in all aspects, right?
It,
So
it,
we're not like trying to kill each other everywhere, it's like, so yeah.
no, and the more of us do this work, this inner work, this, like, it sounds like a little, little group here, little group there, but there's like a energy field, and we are clearing that energy field, and that's gonna, it's like the water is gonna spray, and slowly but surely we're gonna stop have war. It's like peace starts with birth. How was your
Mm,
birth? How was your
right.
birth? Was it an ecstatic birth? Did you, as a baby, have an orgasm when you came out? And you fell in
Mm,
love with life? You thought, oh my God, this is what life is all about? I'm here. What's going on? Let's be part of this. Or
yeah.
you came out, got slammed, and they cut the umbilical cord, and then they put you, they wait you, and this and that, and they take all that stuff off of you. I mean, it's like crazy. So what's life about? It's like, I have to survive. It's like, I'm gonna have to survive this. It's like, oh my God, where did I land? So
Yeah.
giving
I like that.
information.
I saw my daughter being birthed, and
Mm.
you know, I was just like crying, and I was like, this is a miracle. This is like, if you talk about like God and anything spiritual, like watching life come out of the woman's body, you're like, this is literally the definition of a miracle. Like,
Yeah,
how did that just happen? There's
yeah,
no way that in my being I can like make decisions that's going to take that away. Like the killing of people and children, I'm like, what? Have you watched a baby being born? Like, why would you like that's so precious? It's like it's so radical. It's so radical. So
yeah.
yeah, it was
With my
really, really
first,
special.
yeah, when I had my first baby, I was looking at my baby, and
Mm.
and I was by myself. I mean, the father was there, but he was not doing. He was more like a Latino guy. So, there was, oh, where is the food? I'm like, I don't know. I'm busy. I'm looking at a miracle right now.
I'm
It's
just
like,
staring
what are
at
you?
the child. I didn't know I could love so much. I mean, once this baby
Mm,
was born, I was like, I didn't even know I had the capacity to love this much. Like, this is so much love. It was wild. I was like, wow, this is so, just this is so complex how this is programmed for like us as human beings and mammals to just like love our children because they
mm.
can't do anything. So it's perfect. They even smell good. Even their poop. I'm like, oh, I love your poop.
Yeah, no, yeah,
It's insane. It's so insane. So yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, it was so great to talk to you.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I'm gonna stop the recording here. Up and